Hey guys, it's Roscoe, and on the Space Couch today we're going to continue our airliner series with a look at this Changi Singapore International Airport by John K. Morton. This came out in 2001, so it covers a period up to that point. So here we are, there's a very nice picture of a Singapore Airlines 777. The livery is so attractive. There's just the outside of one of the terminals. On the inside, it's very green and soothing. I've been fortunate enough to transit through Changi Airport back in 2005 on the way to and from Australia, and it's very, very nice. See, there's just some of the lines of immigration there. Let's skip through this and get to the good stuff. So here we are, here's some nice pics. So Thai Airways 747-200 in that really beautiful livery. Air New Zealand 767 in that old 80s livery, which again, very attractive. What's the other one? Pelita Air Services Fokker F28 there. Very popular in Indonesia, those Fokkers were. It was one of the biggest markets for it. So, Malaysian Airlines in the old 70s livery, 737-200, they're nearly all phased out now, of course. As, of course, there's a 747-200 other than the cargo planes. Garuda Indonesia, again in the 80s, early 90s livery. Very attractive on there. Pakistan International Airbus A300. Now, they did go through many livery changes during the 80s and the 90s until they settled on the current one, and even then I believe some variations of it. But this green and gold, very attractive on the plane. Now, there's the Malaysian Airlines Airbus A300. It's very wet in Changi that day, isn't it? Very attractive colours. This has been phased out now, of course. And there, at the background, Air Hong Kong 707. Very rare. So that would have probably been their 1980s. 1986. Now, here we go. Air Canada in the old 70s livery, very attractive red colours. It's a long way from home, is that plane. I think it routes through Mumbai, or when it was flying that route. And also there's Morton Air Holland. I assume this is one of the cargo planes rather than, say, one of the passenger ones. Or maybe it's a combi. Yes, it is a combi. Now, here's an interesting shot. Singapore Airlines 757 in the new livery. The 90s livery. They only ordered 4 of these, and they ordered, I think, the same number of Airbus A310s at about the same time, essentially to see which was going to be the best one. The 757 lost out, and they ordered a shed load of Airbus A310s, which had all been withdrawn from service by the time I went to Changi Airport. They're all lined up, all whitetails. There's a 747 in the background, and here, the classic KLM colours of the 1970s and 1980s, a 200. That's probably routing through to Indonesia. Let's see. Yes, doesn't specify, but obviously Dutch East Indies, as well as lots of links back to the Netherlands. There's a 737-300 in that 70s, 80s livery. Looks very attractive on it. What do they call them? The big tops. And there's a Sabina DC-10. The DC-10 formed the backbone of Sabina's long-haul fleet in the 70s and 80s, along with a couple of 747s. Very, very attractive. Now, there's the old Malaysian livery from the 70s. Again, 200 Series 300, 737. There is, I think it was called Tradewinds at the time, later became Silkair, when it's operating DC-9s. It's rotated into a 737 fleet that's currently A320 fleet, and I think that's going back to 737s, and there is one of their 737s there. They're a subsidiary of Singapore Airlines. China Airlines Airbus A300, very busy route, of course, between Taipei, Kaohsiung and Singapore. British Airways, obviously Singapore is a hugely important destination in its network. Still flights to Australia do continue through Singapore, and when they served other destinations other than Sydney, like say New Zealand, Melbourne, wherever, they all routed through there also. And Perth was another one they used to serve. Royal Brunei, very attractive, the yellow livery on this 757. They actually, I think, have flown these as far as Heathrow with several intermediate stops, I believe. Usually it's, say, Dubai and Bangkok, I think it is. Now, there, although it was a 767 en route, I think it's now the 787. Scandinavian Airlines 767, again, this formed the backbone of their fleet in the late 80s, 1990s. I might even still have some of them flying today, I'm not sure. They also, of course, operated DC-10s and a couple of 747s back then. A short-lived carrier, Royal Air Cambodia, obviously from Cambodia, would have been operating the route between Phnom Penh and Singapore. Here we have Silkair as it is there, 737-300 series. Where's that heading to? It doesn't say. No. Saudia, 747-300. This was probably routing through to another destination. Obviously, there is the Hajj traffic, and there's also many domestic servants from that part of Asia who I guess would have to use Saudi to get to their employers. Now here's a line of tails. That must be Airbus there, the first one in Singapore, and there is of course a DC-10 of Sabina, and there's KLM 747. And there, Garuda, Indonesia again, very attractive livery on the tail. I do love that, and the current livery is very nice as well. There's a 727 in the background there. That, I don't know what airline that is. No. Is that an A310? Yes. An Air India A310 in the old Palace in Your Sky livery. Construction of Changi Airport underway. So that would date it to 1998. More construction in the background here. China Airlines A300 in the more recent livery. This is in fact the current livery. I saw a picture today of their first Airbus A350 in that livery. Very attractive it was too. No. I do believe this plane crashed at Hong Kong, I think, back in the early 2000s, because there was one of their planes and the special livery crashed, unfortunately. But it's very attractive, that livery. That was flying to San Francisco, that one. That's probably the route that was on when it crashed. There is a very nice shot of a 747-400 Singapore Airlines, which I have had the great fortune to have flown on between here and London, that is, and Sydney and back again many years ago. Fantastic they were. I'd rate them to anyone. Airbus A310, all phased out by the time I passed through Changi in 2004, 2005. But like I say, they were all lined up at the hangars, withdrawn from service, white tails. This place, in fact, this is where they were all lined up outside. You see, there's one of them has been already, and there are some others. Is that yes, this one is actually an Airbus A340 at the end here. You can see the double engines, and there is just some more images of their planes being loaded with cargo. There is that plane again. It was advertising the Raffles class upgrades to its business class cabin and other cabins. 727-200. Remember that they traded in their A340s for those, having cancelled the MD-11 order for the A340s in the very early 1990s. 747-400s again, very attractive livery. Oh, is that a 300? Let me see. No, they're both 400s. Wasn't sure there. Airbus A340, they call these the Celeste Stars, which is a very attractive name for them. You see, very good shot here, and here's another one here. They held on to the 500 series A340s, the very long range ones, for quite some time to operate the non-stop routes to Los Angeles and Newark, which they've pulled off that route. They're thinking of bringing it back in with another plane. I'm not sure what it would be. Airbus A310, very attractive coming into land. There's one of their 400 series cargo planes. The Mega Arc is that? Yes. China Airlines 737 in that very attractive, is it plum blossom of some kind? I'm not sure what flower it is. Barak, Indonesia, one of the regional carriers there in that very attractive green. Quite an old style livery, of course, very 1970s with a cheat line. And obviously next to this one, it does look quite dated. There's another Garuda Indonesia plane, and there, of course, is another 737 of China Airlines. Could in fact be the same one. Probably is, because here they're all lined up from another angle. Barak, Garuda and China Airlines. And there's two of them, an A300 and a 737. So like I said, a very busy, popular routes between Singapore and Taiwan. Now, it would have been Royal Nepal at the time, obviously now just Nepal Airlines, as it's now a republic, after that very shocking incident with the assassination of the royal family by the Crown Prince, and the king who came, basically hated by everyone, led to a revolution. They changed their livery and all of that. So there is an MD-11 of JAL. This is the old cigarette livery of the 1990s. Again, the MD-11 didn't meet its specifications, didn't last in the fleet for that long. Borak Indonesia 737-200 again. And I saw one of these Biman Bangladesh A310s at Bangkok airport the second time I went to Australia in 2005. That was on British Airways. Bangkok on the way out, through Singapore on the way back. Royal Brunei 767. This was on the Heathrow route for many, many years. Probably still is from time to time. There you go. There is a Thai Airways 737-300, which at the time was a very new member of their fleet. And looks great, that Royal Orchid livery on the plane. There it's just parked at the gate being serviced, and there's people watching from the bar. There is an Ava cargo plane. I do love the green on there. Again, a Taiwanese carrier. There's a Thai plane there. I think it's the same one from before, waiting to taxi off. And there's Myanmar Airways. Yes. I don't think that's around anymore. No. Qantas Singapore Airline, Qantas 767, sorry, very popular route to Singapore from Australia, from all the major cities. So many of these through there. It was a mini hub for a long time. Obviously, some of their flights continued on to Europe and the UK. There you go. Emirates 737, what was I saying? 777. They've got so many of these now. In fact, it's usually an A380 on that route now, I believe, on the way to Australia, although a lot of them are now non-stop. What airline is that? Air Madagascar flies from Antananarivo, or did, I'm not sure if it still does. They may not even still have this plane. I'm sure it's a 767 or an A330 they have now, but that would be a very old plane. One of those carriers had one 747 for long-haul routes. There's Cathay Pacific 747-400 in that very attractive 1990s, 2000s livery, which has only just recently been updated, removing the red from the livery, and perhaps a slight change in the typeface, I can't recall. Thai Airways 777, very attractive. Cathay Pacific Airbus A330, also very attractive in that livery. They operated them for a very long time and continue to do so. There is two 747s lined up waiting to take on passengers, and there is a Silk Air to be an A319, I believe. It's an A320, sorry. No, Malaysia Airlines 777, very attractive shot. So many flights between there and Kuala Lumpur. There is like at least an hourly shuttle, it looked like, when I was there, and my flight that was heading on to Sydney was parked next to one of their A330s in that livery. There is a Thai Airways A300, which they operated for a very long time, along with the A310. I've only recently phased them out in the last couple of years. Philippine Airlines Airbus A330 in the Sunburst livery looks at a very clean design, and there is another A330 of Cathay Pacific coming into land. Again, very elegant looking in that livery. I saw one of their A340-600s at Sydney Airport when I was coming back on British Airways. Polar Air Cargo 747 cargo. Minebea, which is a Japanese company, DC-10 cargo ship, very attractive livery. Angel Air, which I believe is also Cambodia, and I don't think it's around anymore, 737. Cathay, I think that's an A340. Yes, just so you can just see it's the double engines just from that angle. It's a little difficult to tell. JAL MD-11, Air China 767. I saw one of their 777s on that route when I was parked next to the Malaysian Airlines A330. It was the plane that was taxiing on the runway. Indian Airlines Airbus A300, obviously long since merged into Air India, along with Air India. JAL, which is very attractive, although it's a little uninspired delivery, isn't it? Although it looks better now than it did back then. And there's China Airlines cargo plane. Very attractive, that livery. I do like that colour. There's the A310 again of Indian Airline, Air India, looking very attractive. Again, it's quite a dated livery though, but they held onto it for such a long time. Air Mauritius Airbus A340, they have updated their livery since then. But we saw, I think, in some of the early books, 707 and possibly a 747 SP in that livery. Vietnam Airlines, obviously they changed that livery, that very attractive green top they have on their planes now. Airbus A320 there. And there's a BA 747 and there is a Thai A300 in the background. There's BA again, a very attractive, the China Southern Airlines livery on the 777. It's also really, really nice on their A380s. Eva Air, 747, very, very nice. A couple of Malaysian 737s, because like I said, so many flights, not just to Kuala Lumpur, but so many other destinations in Malaysia. Air France 777's very attractive. Look at the big shoulder that plane has. MD-11 Saudia, the cargo division, I think also used logistically by like the Royal Flight, I think, to help coordinate the King's moves of all of his things that he takes with him on his journeys. 747, this time Cathay operate many different types into Changi, so A330s, A340s, 777s, TriStars at one point, of course, this, and who knows what else in the future. Now, Turkish Airlines, a hugely growing airline, of course, they fly to more destinations than anyone else now, I believe, A340. Silkair A319 again, and there is a KLM cargo plane. I think that's cargo. Yes, that was a one of their 200 series that they converted to have the stretched upper deck like the 300 series, and then the plane was later converted to a freighter. That's why it's a freighter with the extended series. Now here we go, here's an ATR 42. I have actually flown on this plane, but painted in the scheme, but it was on lease to an airline in the UK. It was between Stansted and Newcastle, Gill Airways it was, I believe. But they leased this, and it was very attractive, the fuselage. And obviously there's an MD-11 of FedEx. They operate an awful lot of them. And there's another MD-11, this time of Ava Air, with a very nice Airbus A300 of Thai Airways there. Like I said, they operate them for a very long time. Emirates again, their 777, a very dramatic shot with the clouds there, it's beautiful. And there's the Air Lanka, who Etihad is invested in them now, Sri Lankan Airlines, as they are. And there they are, Sri Lankan Airlines A340 and a Swissair MD-11 looking very attractive in there. And there's just the last one, an Air New Zealand plane, 767, very popular route down to the islands. So yes, that was just Changi Airport, my review of that. It's a fantastic book, so many colourful airlines in Asia. It's always great to see bright colour schemes instead of all white fuselages, which is too often the case with airlines these days. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment suggestion for upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.